Okay, so last video we talked about the trunk drop off and we got that securely on there in place. Of course, it's still got to all be seam sealed and all that, but everything's looking good there. So what I want to talk to you about now is the fitting the quarter panel to the wheelhouse. And I've seen cars that's been worked on by people that didn't know what they were doing. And there, you stick your hand under the wheelhouse here, and you have a bad gap between here. You can see a little bit of gap coming here, and it kind of gets a little wide right here. You can get your finger in it. That's the worst fit of this whole thing. And then it's back to tight down here. Not the best lighting under here, but you can see we got a good gap, and that's what you want. So just like that, you want a good tight gap like that. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to put the wheelhouse on, clamp it in place, and then you want to put the quarter panel on and start fitting it, okay? This is where quality of sheet metal matters. This is an Auto Metal Direct panel. If you can get Auto Metal Direct, I highly recommend it. Start fitting this quarter panel. Well, what I've done now is got this alignment here as good as I can get it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my welder and I'm just going to tack the wheelhouse in place. So when I go back with this quarter panel, it stays, the wheelhouse will be in the same spot, and I won't be struggling to get this quarter panel over the wheel lip or be a big gap. Depending on the quality of the parts you're using, a lot of times you can run into a huge gap here. I did on a Mustang. Had to basically cut and splice and add some metal just to get this thing where it would lay down. It was a huge pain. So just keep that in mind. Again, this is the only manufacturer of the Monte Carlo quarter panels. So you can kind of see that gap right there. Of course, that's not a good gap, and I just believe that's a bad, this is where the mistake is. There's always a mistake on an aftermarket part somewhere. And on a quarter panel, that's usually where it's going to be. On a front fender, it's always where it meets the windshield. It's just usually not right. So anyway, hopefully that helps fitting your quarter panel to your outer wheelhouse. I would imagine this would apply to any GM mid-size car. So just a quick little video to explain. Also, this is something I'm going to do more in the future, is getting rid of this and trying to fit the new quarter to the old lip. I'm going to just cut that out of the way, buy the new ones, and that way you can fit the lip to the quarter panel, and you have a whole lot easier time fitting this quarter panel in place that way. And the main thing is, you still can see it's got the generic line. Your trunk rubber line is fine, and you just put that on there and put it in place there. So that is what you would want to do. We've got a pretty good fit up here. This goes under this and over this back here. So I'd like for it to be a little tighter here, but I think with some clamps that'll draw that into place. But so I'm gonna get this wheelhouse tacked in place, and then of course the wheelhouse will have to be spot welded on like the factory. So that's the order to go about it. Again, you want good gaps. And then once the wheelhouse is on, the quarter is going to go on, and then I'm going to put the door on, because you fit the quarter to the door, but the quarter's got to go where it's got to go. So what you're going to then have to do is fit the door to the car. Put the door on, see how it adjusts. If you've got a big gap, you add welding rod to the edge of the door, some metal to the edge of the door, tighten the gap up, and make a nice body gap. So it's just kind of what you have to do when you get into these quarter panels. So anyway, hopefully that helps. Again, restoration inquiries, anybody need any work done in the video description. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.